conversation.
We are here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My conversation with them is like, last year we saw the president of the United States get censored while he was still the sitting president, right?
Yeah, that's important to people, isn't it?
I just think that's a big deal, right?
That's happened a lot, though.
So there's that piece. And my question is like, at what point do they say, you know what, we don't like what you're doing on social media, so we're going to pause your bank account?
Yeah.
I don't think that's far off.
Well, I think, do you feel that people just don't notice it? Is that what it is? Do you feel bad for people because you think it's about to, because you're prepared for it, obviously.
No, so I'm just like.
Or preparing.
My thing is, Bitcoin is supreme to everything, right? Yeah. But on top of that, it's censorship proof. So when the powers that be don't like what you're doing in person or online, ultimately they can stop your bank account. And then what do you do at that point when you can't transact currency? You know what I mean? And Bitcoin solves that problem.
Yeah, got to go back to the old ways or whatever. It's a thing. But actually, we were having that conversation before we went live on the mics. That's why, for a lot of these services, let's not just single out in mining industry, but a lot of these services, we have to own this stuff. It needs to be part of our possession. Mm-hmm. And we need to be responsible for it, right? Like you think about cold storage, you think about your whole coin and all that stuff. It's a responsibility thing. But, sometimes we try to, the fiat world or the fiat standard has conditioned us to kind of do the easy route thing because it's important to do. And a lot of the reason for us being in the position that we're in now is because we gave away a lot of that power for convenience. Mm-hmm. Hey, take care of our banking. Hey, take care of our delivery. Hey, take care of this and take care of that. We'll pay you to do this stuff for us. And that's when the charlatans were able to slide in there and basically, steal from us, pillage from us. So, we talked about mining and specifically, it is much more convenient, probably more economically set to do it in a place like Compass Mining, but unconfiscatable means that they need to take it from you, not from Compass Mining, not from the distributor, the manufacturer, the exchange, blah, blah, blah. So it just goes back. And I could do better with this too. I actually think I was more into privacy early on into Bitcoin than I am at the moment. But because I was so deep into it early, I think I still have a firm understanding of what security is in Bitcoin. But people need to just take more responsibility with their mining, with their nodes, with their cold storage, with anything that allows you to, verify, have, move, transfer anonymously. Samurai whirlpools. I haven't used that. That's actually an Android thing. You might want to check that out. And coin joins and things like that. I haven't done that stuff yet. So I feel that, I need to get back into privacy, doing it that way. But, everybody has their own journey. We're all working towards it. We all need to learn. But that's an important thing. We brought that up.
Yeah. If you do all of those things, can you label yourself like a cypherpunk, or how does that work?
I don't think so. I think if you're a cypherpunk, you're contributing code towards a cause, right? Like an anonymous cause, right? Like whether it's money in Bitcoin, whether it's, just encryption in general when it comes to like Signal, right? Like messaging encryption so we could protect our rights. Anything that protects human rights and freedoms when it comes to code, I think that makes you a cypherpunk if you contribute to that.
Gotcha.
But just like every other word, I'm sure it's loosely thrown around here and there. But the real people are the contributors of the code, because the code is what allows us to do this anonymous activity in an open world. I don't know if it's GG, probably sounds like GG, but something along the lines of, that type of encryption is what, separates the digital world from the physical world. We can now interact in both these worlds back and forth. And Bitcoin allows us to do that so they can't mess with it. But if we use exchanges, right, we know this. If we do these compromising situations where we think, sort of like we think with the bank, that the bank is always going to be there. We know it's not, but that's how some people think about their Bitcoin. Grayscale will always be there. It would take a nuclear disaster to wipe them out. Yeah, but if a nuclear disaster happens, you can still own it if you do it the smart way.
Totally. To go back, we were talking about having miners that are hosted elsewhere through Compass or whatever third-party company.
Yeah. I only know Compass, by the way, but I'm not.
I think there's other
Compass.
smaller ones.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I've seen dudes on Reddit like, "Yo, I'm about to go in on 300 S19s.
Yeah.
Here's the discounted rate. If you want to buy one, I'll host it at my place."
Dope. Yeah.
Boom. So someone like yourself, you know what I'm saying?
But the bigger ones are Compass, and I don't know.
Yeah, Compass Mining is the only one I know right now. I know of one other, but I think it's like commercial. So I think like the minimum order is probably like 50 grand.
Yeah.
So you're talking like huge farms.
Yeah.
On miners. But what we were saying was that like, at what point does the FBI come in and say, we're looking at your electric bill. We know you're either growing weed or selling Bitcoin miners.
You told me that last time. It's true.
That's so in Jason Williams' book, that's the situation that happened. The feds came to him and were like, yo, you ordered 500 miners. This is your bank statement. And what you doing with it? Where's the energy? We're not seeing it. And he's like, hey, I'm recycling tires, actually. Let me show you. Let me put you on the game. Yeah. And he's running $1 million operation probably weekly, right? I don't know. It has to be huge.
I guess in theory, use Compass, right? Like to do that, to get like a big, amount of sats. And then, I don't know, somebody would probably say, grab it, send it to like a Whirlpool wallet. Yeah. And then from Whirlpool or CoinJoin, go over to your cold storage.
That's smart. I might do that.
I've heard that. I maybe when I start stacking, right? Like at a bigger level.
Let's work on that.
Yeah, but I will. There's like versions of CoinJoin for iOS, but I think most of the apps are working on Android.
I'm going to have to check that out.
You definitely have to.
Yeah, I still haven't sent any transactions through there, but I probably should just on the regular.
Yeah, but I think that's the smart way to do it, right? Yeah. Because, a lot of the, pleb miners and real miners are definitely going to say, well, if you have it at home, you have a VPN on your modem, then you're more anonymous, it's KYC free. You can join pools that are less than what we know of, like the email, like literally nothing. You actually use your Bitcoin address you want your payout in as your like sign-in.
Gotcha.
Right? So like they don't want nothing but how we gonna pay you. That's super cool. But yeah, like even if you use like a third party and you send it to a public wallet, then from there just probably CoinJoin it. Yeah. Or Samurai Wallet it or whatever. Whirlpool is what it is on Samurai Wallet. Send that in there and then send it to your cold storage. And
let's work that out.
Yeah, for sure. I think Taproot's going to help with all this stuff too, by the way.
Gotcha. So they'll probably do it more just natively.
Yeah, the address will just be harder to identify on its own. And then you could probably still do Whirlpools and stuff like that to really make it real nice and spicy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool, to get as much stats as possible, but you can't fake yourself into think that you own these miners. You do, because they'll send them to you. But you know do, what I mean.
But if the feds come through and they're like, hey, we're seizing all these.
Or robbery, right?
Or robbery.
Yeah.
But even I'm thinking of, I forget the name of the term. It's something the police can do where they can basically seize your property if they suspect that you're using it for XYZ.
Yeah.
It's like asset forfeiture or something like that. But they can literally like take your stuff.
And I haven't really like dug through it with like an eyeglass, but I don't think Compass is going to reimburse you if that happens.
Yeah, I'm doubtful of that. In the contract, it says in the event of XYZ, we get stuck up or whatever. Like I don't know. Are they insuring all those things? Maybe I'm going to ask my rep. But
that's true. And it's been a good experience. I still plan on keeping these S9s as long as possible. But it's. I don't know if it's just the Northeast or...
It's Northeast, bro.
Is it?
Everywhere else is... Texas generally is 8 cents a kilowatt hour.
You gotta... Yeah, it's very hard. And mining is a strategy game, right? You have to be affordable. You have to be profitable. You can mine at a loss, but at what is your tolerance rate?
Because facts.
At some point, you're just losing Bitcoin.
In perspective, if you're in Massachusetts, your electric bill is probably 3 times higher than the rest of the country.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you can take 66% of that electric cost and then mine at home or have free energy, it's more profitable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's just, also it's not like I have machines that are hashing hard, right? It's like the trade-off is not there with the S9s.
Yep.
I think I saw earlier, I think we talked about it last week. It's 2017, I believe the S9s came out.
Gotcha.
I think I said 2018 last week. Either way.
Gotcha.
But they've been kicking for, it's about to be, 4 years now?
Yeah.
So they've been kicking strong. It is Bitman. I think so. Ant miners, Bitman. So, we were talking about that too. Won't call out no names, but I guess, I had a few people actually compare, the What's miners to, German engineering versus the Bitman kind of just being your average every day of the mill.
German engineering is supreme, sir.
You see? I trust these people. It wasn't a salesman, so it wasn't like a charlatan.
Consult.
Yeah, right. This person had nothing to lose, nothing to gain, right, to give me this information. But I would hate to think back to the feds coming in that I would pay these things, not own them, right? When I think those machines are even profitable here in Worcester. It won't be as much profitable, but it'll be as profitable.
Still profitable.
So the argument is still bring them home and mine and just get a little more.
In comparison, I mean, the M31S, which has 84 terahash, right?
Yeah, 82.
Right now, those are $6,000, and they're mining around $24 a day.
Yeah. So what do you think the electricity here would be? Probably. Well, that's probably 19 of that.
It's probably 3,000 kilowatts. Your S9s, I don't know the kilowatt rate.
I think it's 18.
Is it 1,800 each?
No, actually, I'm sorry. I'm running them at 1,350. Okay. Because I can set them in the background.
Oh, bet. So
both of them at
2 of those.
Yep.
So your cost right now isn't that far off from what one S19 would be. at 3,300 kilowatt hours.
You have to explain that. Right.
So right now, if your units are both 1350,
I'll tell you what, my two units are not bringing in what the S19 is bringing in.
Yeah, not dollars. I mean power consumption use.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So if they're 1350 kilowatts.
Yes, I have them set to that.
Two of those are like 2,700.
Sure.
So if the S19 is 3,400, you're only 700-800 off. Okay. So your electric bill is only going to increase less than 1/3.
But the return will be higher.
But your return is going to be, going to go from, what's the terahash on
this? From 30 hash to 80. What were you comparing to WhatsMiner?
Oh, yeah, WhatsMiner. The WhatsMiner, my bad, is it's like 84 terahash.
Yeah. So from 30 to 84.
From 30 to 84 is...
Close to a 3x?
Yeah. I mean, 2x, right?
Yeah, close to
30
like
to 60, 60 to 84.
Yeah.
So probably like 1.7.
Yeah. It's still profitable. It's just not as profitable, I guess is the point. But we'll see how it goes. I like that. Even if I have to pay for it, if I don't like my experience, I can at least get them shipped to me.
Facts.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, at some point, we have to take ownership of all this stuff and be responsible.
Totally agree.
If not to not learn to how to use this stuff and how to put it together, but to, be more sovereign and be more free.
I saw a Twitter video of just looked like some computers or some miners outside in a jungle with a bunch of wires going into the water as if they were trying to hydropower the miners or computers. And I was like, this is crazy.
Hydropower is the way. I don't know. I like the volcano stuff, of course, and that's all incredible stuff. But we have water everywhere. Hydropower is the way.
Yeah.
And I don't know the numbers on that, right? I don't know, because I've heard of even people say that like wind turbines are worthless and stuff like that. Yep. So maybe somebody can make an argument for hydro being worthless.
I talked to a mechanical engineer, one of my smartest, closest friends, and the first thing he commented on was hydro. He was like, bro, because we talked about gas, we talked about everything, and he was like, yo, hydro, water's everywhere, and
it's powerful.
It's extremely powerful.
Absolutely.
So it's crazy. Like if we live near a river or a dam, that we could partner with the city. Hey, we'll give you 20%. Whatever the fee is, or we'll pay you in USD if we can do X, Y, Z. If we can tap this into the water,
that'll be a better argument for them. Because then you would have to explain Bitcoin and all that. And then they're gonna be well. But if I say, hey, I'm gonna hit you off with some money, the city's gonna be all ears for that. This is gonna be a completely change of subject, but I've been following this literally since earlier, and this is extremely interesting. So you want to know how long it's been since the last block?
40 minutes.
I've been following this since earlier.
Couple hours.
I'll give you 5 hours and 45 minutes since the last block.
Wow. All right. So explain why that's an issue, why it isn't an issue, and what was the original block time that was designed?
I'm looking at Santa. I have this whole dashboard pulled up, which is the most interesting. It's like I've posted this. It's like literally watching Bitcoin breathing. Like
you showed me that.
It's like
I saw it. Yeah. It's like a pulse.
It's insane to watch like the transactions go in, how many blocks. I don't think I've ever noticed, it's probably happened plenty of times before, when the mempool clears, it literally gets to the point where there's like a half a block. There's nothing to mine after that. There's no transactions filling it. To me, it was scary watching it. Like, what happens if it doesn't have a block? But in my opinion, I think the miners just keep chugging along. They just don't get the transaction fees because there is none.
Right.
But it's never happened. There's always transactions that fill it eventually.
Yeah.
But like, I understand the mempool much more important seeing it like this. But to answer your question, I guess it depends where you're at when it comes to the how long the blocks are taking. If you're a miner, you love it because that means that most likely the next difficulty adjustment, which is about every 2 weeks, is going to be lower. Because it's taking it long to find these blocks.
They're saying the next one is going to be another 24%.
I actually have it right here. That's a wrong number.
Is it?
You have to get closer to the date to get a more constant number.
So a few days ago, it was at like 24.
Right now, the estimated difficulty change is -9.7. So about 10.
10%.
About 10. Of course, from what it is now. So it's going down that ladder.
Yeah.
But if it's ideally for those listening that don't know, Bitcoin is designed to pump blocks about every 10 minutes or so. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes a little less. With this constant changing of time, that's how Bitcoin automatically adjusts its difficulty and makes it easier or harder to find blocks. If it's taking really long to find blocks, that means there's not enough players in the game, hashers, right? So Bitcoin, right? However you're hashing, So Bitcoin is basically saying, hey, it's taking them so long that I need to drop my difficulty so that they could get closer to 10 minutes. And what the miners are trying to find is this nonce number, this very hard, specific number to land. And our hashing is basically taking guesses every time to try to get to this one number. So if it's taking 5 hours, it seems to be hard, right? But that 5 hours doesn't mean anything in the span of 2 weeks. Because if the next one to 10 minutes consistently, that difficulty change, as you said, from 25 to 10, that's because of that. But I personally, with my own 2 eyes, have never seen 5 hours and 48 minutes now we're going on. And this is a live ticker. Like, if it finds it, it's going to go to 0. So we'll see by the end of this episode if we're going to find the block. So it's good if you're a miner. You make more money. Difficulty drops. That's all good. Bad if you're a pool, because if you find Bitcoin and every block you get 6.5 Bitcoin, I believe at the moment, you don't get transaction fees if there's not a lot of stuff going on.
Gotcha.
Super bad if you're trying to pay somebody and you're waiting for you.
Taking along to transact.
5 hours ago, if you were on the front of the list and you paid the high amount of sats, which is probably wasn't a lot because the mempool was low. It's actually, mempool has 4 blocks in it right now. So, but if you were waiting to get on the next block, you've been waiting about 5 hours.
If it was a big transaction, I'd probably be pretty nervous. Even sending payments to Compass.
Yeah.
Like when I sent my first big like Bitcoin payment to like not my exchange to my cold storage, like actually paying someone. Yeah, it's pretty nerve wracking, bro.
Yes and no. I think you just have to trust it, right?
I do.
And it does give you a transaction ID, right? So you can locate this thing.
Yeah, and almost immediately, you're going to look at that transaction and you're going to see pending. Yeah. So like once I see that, I'm like, oh, we're good. As soon as I know it's like, to me, that's like, I don't know, on the block. Right. Or I get some sort of paper receipt.
It's in the mempool. If you have a transaction ID that's not, confirmed, your transaction is sitting in the mempool ready to get picked up by a miner. Yep. Right? So you're good. You have to trust the system at that point. There is a timeout period where it just goes back to you. But the way inputs and outputs work, and we talked about it last week, is once you see that your wallet is negative, 0.5 Bitcoin or whatever, you can't make up 0.5 Bitcoin. It's not like your bank account where they just did some math in the forefront and then they're going to settle weeks later in the background. Right. You can't send anything that you don't have. And when you send it, you don't have it. So your app is going to show you, your wallet is going to show you. Right. Like there's no games being played here. So I say as long as you have the right address on the end. Yep. And people
there's nothing to worry about.
People don't say trust QR codes. I usually do. I don't know why. People have told me that.
They're pretty on point from...
Yeah, I think it's just convenient, and that sucks because it's not a word to be using in Bitcoin. But I do check address as much as possible. But yeah, check your address, and if as long as you're sure that payment got made, and the beauty of it is, the other side. Let's use Compass Mining. We're not picking on Compass Mining. Sure. The other side can't fake the funk and be like, it never showed up. Because you could just be like, well, here's the transaction ID, buddy.
Yep. You got that's one thing I love too, is opening up that show transaction and you can see basically everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
Which is cool. So.
And then every time you get picked up on the mempool and you get added to the next block, 5 hours and 51 minutes of counting, then you'll see the first confirmation. Most exchanges, most things usually rely on 2 or 3 confirmations. And what that means confirmation-wise is every time a block goes by, you're confirmed because that whole previous chain has been confirmed more times, right? So it hasn't split, it hasn't been changed, the transaction didn't disappear into like an orphan block and things like that. So you're good. You get 1, 2, 3 confirmations. Then the theory is that it's going to take so much computational power to reverse the chain to be able to go back 3 blocks that it's nearly impossible to take that transaction from history. Right. So that's what makes it so powerful, and that's why when a transaction settles, it settles for good. Yeah. You can't reverse the chain. You can't get a refund. I don't know much details about it, but I believe Ethereum in the past did that to recover the DAO tokens that they lost or whatever. They just reversed the chain.
I was talking with
that's insane.
The contractor who's working in my bathroom. We were talking about Bitcoin earlier. Yep. And I was just talking about, things that these other coins promise and how like Bitcoin is decentralized and there is no head, right? We'll never have to worry about a Vitalik issuing coins or issuing a new whatever, or issuing a token, or like we'll never have to worry about anything like that. Exactly. The closest thing to it would be, hey, Satoshi's coins just moved off his address. That's the only thing in terms of like coin wise I can think of.
I'm going to give you the worst one. This whole thing was set up by a higher central intelligence agency, and we're all playing the game. I don't believe that. So in a group chat, I saw, Bitcoin is created by the CIA. Sure. Okay, sure. But, okay. Yeah. And we're trading at 30 grand a coin. We're seeing mass adoption. That could be all part of their plan, is what they're saying.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm going to tell you what they fuck up with their analogy.
What's the end game, though, with that?
Well, I'm going to tell you what they fucked up with the analogy. If that's the case and somebody were to get a whiff of that, you've already shown us what works. So now we just got to go do Bitcoin. We could just soft fork somewhere else, and we could make sure that they have no part of it, whether it's through code, whether it's through what. So we just make and then the consensus is going to be go there because that's bad. That's the CIA shit.
Right.
And then that's when we'll just, I guess, build a new Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I don't think that day will ever come. But does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Consensus would just be like, oh, this is a shitty token then. I don't want this. But then somewhere, some actual developers could say, well, we forked the Bitcoin code, which is what Ethereum is, which is what all these coins are. It's the original. It's the original core, just with stuff built on top.
Yeah.
So you get the original core, and then you just say, well, we're going to make the real Bitcoin over here without the CIA. And then I think I would gravitate towards it. Like, okay, that's my thing then.
And there's 10,000 Bitcoiners with that same attitude.
Right.
Like, hey, we will build this whole system ground up. We'll use our time, talent, and resources.
Goes back to game theory. If the CIA is really playing this game, they're going to lose once people get a whiff because we all agree that this
Here's
works.
the deal. I don't think the CIA is that smart.
Me neither. There was just this one conversation, and I'm going to butcher these famous coders' names or whatever, but I think it was a Laszlo of the world. There was just this thing that after Satoshi disappeared or whatever, Laszlo, and I could be messing that up, but I heard it in one of the podcasts I was listening to, got called in by somebody big in the CIA, and he had a meeting that nobody ever knew what happened. And Laszlo was the one that Satoshi left in charge. Like, basically, like, yo, I changed my name off of that to put your name on there because I have to disappear. And Satoshi said it himself, because if I'm around, Bitcoin will never be what it's supposed to be. Because of that very reason right there. Because he was getting a lot of, like, not only harassment, Satoshi was like, yo, you shouldn't be doing difficulty adjustments like that, like from other cypherpunks. Like, that's never going to work. Not only was he the target for that, but every time Satoshi to do something to improve Bitcoin, those same people would be like, yo, I thought this was anonymous. Why are you making changes without letting us know? You have to let us know. But Satoshi obviously made a lot of big decisions that still impact Bitcoin to this day. Yeah. So eventually the story is, if I'm not getting it wrong, is that he told Laszlo that same thing. Look what's happening because I'm around. It's not anonymous. It's Satoshi's money. And then he was like, I got to get out of here. And then that's, supposedly when he tied up his loose ends, made Laszlo, contributor, the main name, and just disappeared. And now Bitcoin is actually open source because there's not one guy making changes. Everybody makes changes if they get approved, of course. So that's just an interesting little fascinating tidbit there. But it's just everything in Bitcoin just seems to work well. I don't think the CIA or the US or whatever is smart enough to keep it going for this long.
I don't think the CIA is that smart to do that. Typically, they're working in reverse. Like, if you historically look through their involvement with stuff, like whether it's Malcolm X and the sting operations they're running on the ground just to get intel. And I think they would they would create these quote unquote fake cyber attacks that we keep seeing in the news that demand Bitcoin as a ransom. Yeah. Like, they'll fake those and then they'll start the USDC whatever. Yeah. Right. And that'll be your digital money. And there's basically an expiration date on it. They'll do something like that where it's like problem, reaction, solution, but I don't think I've never seen a CIA move that was this brilliant. Yeah. That changes the world in this way. So,
right. And once again,
time will tell.
For them not to be able to spill anything right now. Because people be in
12 years in.
People be in their bag. People be exposing them out.
Yeah, whistleblowers.
Yeah, right.
Whistleblowers. Right. Project Veritas on the political end, they continue to get whistleblowers at all kinds of companies. Yeah. So how many people would have to know about that? Yeah, right. There'd have to be a whole... It would have slipped, yeah. There'd be people that were fired, who were let go, who want to spite their boss or whatever, who would spill the secrets, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know if it's the CIA per se, but whatever that U.S. government entity, that military entity, that's where we got SHA-256 in these things. So they're smart enough to build these encryption things. Now were they able to do what Satoshi did and be able to piece these things together? Yeah. Obviously not, if we believe what we believe, but... let's not say that they're not smart enough to, encryption is a warfare tactic. Absolutely. So they understand this in and out. But from what we know and from what we understand how these algorithms work, they themselves can't even go backwards. They can't crack it, or we don't have the computing to do it. That's all fascinating stuff, dude. And I followed tech for a long time, loosely and aggressively at certain times, but just perfection is just rare to see. Like, there's always like a flaw somewhere. And I know people could get things from Bitcoin and say, well, it doesn't do this and it doesn't have privacy and all that. But the one thing that they're not understanding is it still works. It works without hands off.
You can add privacy.
Taproot.
And then people want speed, right? Yeah. You can add speed, lightning.
Exactly. So it is what it's supposed to be.
Bitcoin at its core is what it's supposed to be. And all the utility that everything else is going to offer can just be layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 on top of Bitcoin. So why would I want to hold Ethereum, and there's going to be an Ethereum 2.0 and probably a 3.0, and there's probably going to be more coins that are issued. Why would I want to hold that long term?
And the 21 million allotment is everything.
Facts.
It's everything. It just makes sense. It's like, oh, okay, this can't be effed with. Like, I can't just get more of it. So I don't know,
Digital scarcity.
Yeah, just scarcity in general. They're love
still
it.
finding gold.
That's why we collect shit. That's why we do it what we do. That's why certain people have the sneaker collections, the car collections. What's up?
Oh, one of one. Speaking of scarcity, a one of one, I think Seth Curry card went for like $6 million.
Come on now.
One of one.
And I would never. But somebody did.
Oh, absolutely. It's a store of value.
That's what I'm saying.
For them.
It's incredible to watch. It's playing out. And I keep looking down at the screen. I go through a few of these numbers here because there's a lot of different things that are incredible. Maybe throughout the episodes, we'll try to keep this dashboard open for the most part. Let me see if that, 5 hours and 58 minutes. We're checking on that block. That's still going. The transactions in that block, the estimated block that's about to be found, hopefully, is by Slushpool. Actually, I think Slushpool found the last one because I had the notification.
Right.
So 5 hours ago, the Slushy picked it up. 2,199 transactions in the next block. The output is about 4,000 Bitcoin, 3.5 Bitcoin. In US dollars, that's 119.5 million. The reward for the next blocks is 6.57. And the value, that's 225, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and you can see the size of the blocks. What do we got for other prices? So Bitcoin price in gold, 8.9 ounces. Okay. Every Bitcoin is a gold. Bitcoin is 5.4 of the gold market cap. The all-time high for Bitcoin, 64,840. That was on April 14th. That was 84 days ago. That's interesting. Taproot is locked in. We're at block height 690,046. The Bitcoin network, this one's really cool. Reachable Bitcoin nodes. These means full nodes that have the blockchain on the ledger. Yep. 11,669. Now, you can add to that Bitcoin Tor nodes. That's 4,255. And that's about 15,000 nodes that are running the blockchain right now.
I feel like that's low.
Well, let's go to the next thing. This is why it's not low, because in order for you to have a Lightning node, you need to have the Bitcoin Core. The next numbers is the Lightning network. The, let me see, total nodes, 12,236. So bump that number up, total channels, bump that number up to about 24,000 nodes.
Gotcha.
That could be low for worldwide, but not everybody knows how to run a node.
Mm-hmm.
So you trust like the big companies to do it in the background for you.
Yeah,
that could be a reason for that. I agree with you. That's a little bit low.
Yeah. I just think like considering Bitcoiners and everything we talk about, self-possession of miners, nodes, your own coin, your keys, all that, right? I figured they'd, I don't know, maybe like 50,000, 100,000. I don't know.
Well, let me go back and say something too. I don't know if the word reachable means anything. Because it says reachable Bitcoin nodes.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that means that there's like a private type of node that can't be reached and these are public nodes. I don't know but I do agree with you. I think that's pretty low, especially for something that's worldwide, global.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Lightning Network's capacity is close to 2,000 Bitcoin. That means there's 2,000 Bitcoin tied up in the Lightning Network right now as liquidity back and forth.
Speaking of which, I did my first transaction with Strike and Moon.
Yep.
So good look on that, as we were saying.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, talk to that experience.
So I use the Strike app. If you don't have it, get that.
Yep.
I think of it almost like as like a Venmo, even better in terms of like Bitcoin, where like it sits on top of your bank account. That's what I mean by that. And then
I like CashApp.
CashApp, same idea.
Yep.
So I deposited $500 on that. I pulled up my electric bill, and then I pulled up Chrome on my computer. You get basically Moon, which is the browser extension. It basically creates a gift card for you. You scan that with Strike. Strike pays for that, and then you use the gift card that is on your screen to pay your actual bill. To get from Strike to Moon, you have to like scan like a QR code. We were talking about QR codes earlier. But after that, it's smooth sailing, and I got 5% back. So I got almost $25 back for paying my utility bill.
Yeah, man.
And then I can just convert that. I can send that to a Lightning wallet and send it to my cold storage for probably a quarter.
It's especially with the mempool being so low nowadays. It's really good, man. It's impressive technology. Even the experience of copy and pasting the card.
It's so easy.
It's so good. They even give you the button and copy. Like it's not hard at all. Yeah, I even thought that it was going to be this thing where like it kept going away and I kept having to go back, or like I would have to write the number down. It's there.
Yeah, even from a return perspective, even if you have a card where you're getting like 3, maybe 4% back, typically 3% back.
Yeah.
That 5% is still better than that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, typically when you pay with a credit card, like on a utility bill, National Grid would charge me like an extra like $5 as a convenience fee.
Yeah.
So the fees add up and the rewards go down versus doing it with this. It's more profitable.
Yeah, it's the ultimate 5% back sats card because as soon as Strike gives you the money right away, it leaves it in your account, and then you could just send it to a Lightning address right there.
The first thing I was thinking was, could we do this at like a restaurant?
What? You could do anything at anywhere. Yes.
Would you have to scan the restaurant's invoice? Would there have to be like I don't know, like we went out to eat.
Yeah.
The restaurant would have to have a QR code?
Yeah. So the restaurant will walk up to with their tablet, right? With their phone, whatever is connected. They would have the total pulled up on a QR code, and you'll be able to scan it from Strike, and you'll be able to pay them.
Gotcha. Do a lot of restaurants do QR codes on the receipt?
They will if they understand that they're not paying taxes.
Yeah, eventually.
So like at the end of the night, right, they could have their Strike, right? And at the end of the night, they're going to have all their total payments inside the Strike app. Mm-hmm. So let's just say they had a great night and it was like $3,000 inside of the QR code that was scanned. From there, in US dollars, they could take from Strike, transfer $500 to pay bills from their Strike account back to their bank account. Mm-hmm. And then literally from there, just send to a cold storage address. Or if you want to save on the fees, you could just send it to a Lightning QR code and turn whatever your profit was that night into sats immediately and blah, 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 go down that chain or whatever. It's incredibly usable. Mm-hmm. But once again, the process comes in, do people see the benefit in Bitcoin? Do people want to get paid in Bitcoin? And do they want to deal with having the Jose of the world come around and explain this to them? Yeah. Because they have to want to learn. The restaurant has to see. But my biggest argument to business owners, which is, I'm sure there's dozens of business owners doing it now, is I don't pay taxes on this. Like they just, unless I cash out. Yeah. They could pay me for a haircut. They could pay me for this. They could pay me for that. They could pay me for whatever. And as long as I don't need it, like to pay any bills or anything,
it's going to sit there.
I could have a very nice, economically profitable day just by holding some gold. Mm-hmm. And I did the same thing I do every day. Right? Facts. So I think it's very, and then before it was the whole, like, look, we're going on 6 hours now, 6 hours and 5 minutes. So before it would be like, yeah, but I can't use this at a restaurant. They could walk away with the food and steal it. Well, you got Strike. Yeah. All right. And then the consumers can't complain because it's like, oh, yeah, but I don't know how to type 000135. No, you just put $50 on the app and it does all the magic for you. Exactly. And then on the owner standpoint is that. It's like, oh, no, you could cash out whenever you want, or you could save it and send it to a cold storage. Mm-hmm. All right? Yeah. And we could set up a node right inside the store. Right. So like you're not trusting, Strike servers or whatever servers. You're verifying these transactions because you have a really nice, maybe 2, 3 Raspberry Blitz. These things are like $60.
There has to be CEOs. I know there was one article talking about the day Walmart accepts Bitcoin, where they dollar cost average from a buying standpoint, and they offer 10% off, 5% off if you pay in Bitcoin. Sure. And then they have a node at each register at checkout. Yeah. But like, I don't know, if I'm a CEO of a big company, you have to be thinking 10 steps ahead. You have to be thinking, how can we implement nodes at checkout, nodes at online checkout, and when do we start dollar cost averaging?
First of all, fuck these companies. Second of all, the reason they can't do that is because they rely too much on subsidies and things like this. So Walmart, whether we like to believe it or not, relies on tax.
I'm thinking smaller spots, Trader Joe's.
Right, that's why I don't care about none of those places. But yeah, like a Trader Joe and stuff, they would just bring individuals like you and I, right?
Yeah, Bitcoin consultant.
That would just be like, hey man, we're going to wire up this fucking store. And it's very easy to do. It's not very expensive to do. Yeah. And all you have to do is keep your internet connection up.
Yeah, because what's a node? 150?
To put it all together, probably like $250.
$250.
So yeah. And then, in the future, they would have to upgrade hard drives. It's going to be far away. I think the mempool, the blockchain is still like under 500 gigs. You could buy a terabyte and be good for a while.
You can get a 10 terabyte for $250.
Sure. And that's if they want to future-proof themselves. So that could be, we're giving away all the but that could be like an upsell. You guys want to future-proof yourself, et cetera. You could do this. But 1 terabyte, you get $250 for each node. I'm sure if we're doing it at scale or anybody's doing it at scale, they could give them cheaper prices on that. Like we'll set up a node for $150 because we have plenty of parts and whatever. We do this. And it's just one of those things. You set them up with a Strike account, or you could just set them up with like one of the free wallets, right? Like you could do Zeus wallet, you could do Zap wallet, which is a Strike open sourced wallet. You could do anything that does Lightning and still do QR codes. You don't need Strike. Yep. I just think if you advertise Strike, it's going to make the fiat thing easier for customers. Mm-hmm. They'll be willing to just load up another Cash App and just hit a QR code instead of having to download Zeus app and
send here and send there
and have to type in 50,000, do the conversion, 50,000 sats. When it's like, nah, listen, your bill was 75.54. I don't know what 75.54 in sats is right now. I have a guess, but I don't know what it is. Right. So it's important to advertise services like Strike, Mun. Mun is another wallet you could use on the fly that you could just load something up real quick. And be able to have the customer have the experience, because that's what matters. They have to love it. They have to want to be able to do it. And you have, like you said, with the 10%, you have to give them an incentive to do so. Like if they come in and say, hey, I got a Visa card, it may be your job to say, well, hey, we're going to charge you $5 more. You know what I'm saying? But this free app right here, Strike, next time you come in, have it set up.
You'll get X, Y, Z.
And we're going to give you free fries and a drink.
Yep. Sold.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Oh, a family package. You come in, we'll give you a full...
Kids free or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. Large pizza. Whatever. Yeah. But then more people are going to start coming in, and over time, you're going to be getting this gold. And right from Strike, you can go and say, hey, Strike, I want this as US dollars back to my bank account, which I don't think it's a taxable event, by the way, because Strike already converts it to cash.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? So I think you're just telling Strike, if that or they take the hit on taxes, but I think they're just basically telling Strike, hey, I got $75 in my app because Ben just sent me this Bitcoin and it's $75. Send it to my DCU account, and that's $75 not converted. So it's smart for the business owner. And then, like I said,
that is smart, bro.
They can take their tips at the end of the day.
If you're not listening to this podcast consistently, Jose be giving me gems, bro. From booking my travel with Expedia and using Lolly as a Chrome plugin, to how I just paid my electric bill and got money back from a Chrome plugin, to how I bought Bitcoin, no fees, from an app to an app transfer.
Yeah.
Like, Jose be giving game. Y'all need to...
I'm just shooting shit out here,
give this man... Stream him some sats.
But we have... stream some sats. But we have this conversation off the mic. So this isn't even like unique. So.
Nah, but still, it's...
I appreciate it, man. Thanks. But
bro, I appreciate it.
It fascinates me. It just fascinates me, like, on a different level. Like, I can see how cults start. I could see how cults start, because it's like... Sometimes things just make sense in your head. Yeah. And this one right here is like, I don't know. I don't think it's a cult. I know it's not a cult because there's no leader or anything like that. But like that like, it can change your life feeling, which cults do to people. Religion does to people. I feel that. Like, it's like, yo, this thing has from philosophy of thought to what I believe in, to what I think is happening, to what is not happening, to how money works, to how I have broken all these layers of life-changing information, and it's just come from Bitcoin.
I'm kind of smirk laughing because while you're talking about this, I'm thinking about the doc on Netflix. I think it's Wild Wild West.
I haven't seen it. Hit me.
I think that's the name of it. But basically, it's like this Middle Eastern dude who starts this church off in the middle of nowhere. And he, like, there's images of like them having like 30 Rolls Royces back to back, and kind of like super high yoga retreat. They're probably doing mushrooms and a bunch of crazy stuff. I think there's a lot of sex going on, obviously, right? And it just makes me think of like Woodstock and just this euphoria camp of cult, and like, it's crazy. I think I got through like half of it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Sure.
It's one of those things where it's like, this is so crazy that this actually happened. Like, it's not a movie. It's like, wow, this is real life.
And then somebody would believe it. A lot of people believe it. Like, but that's, once again, this is how I feel about this. Like,
it's cool watching stuff like that.
Yeah, there's no leader. There's nothing that I'm like I guess being bamboozled by.
Sure.
Right? It's just more like the way life is completely changes. It's The Matrix is the best example. It's the way life is completely goes upside down by one thing happening in your life. Yeah. And most people, I'm sure all people, when they get introduced to Bitcoin and they start falling down that, life changing. You're never the same as the other end of the tunnel as you are when you start in Bitcoin. And I think that's a testament itself and why it goes way beyond money. It's cool to see the headlines. It's cool to gauge its price. It's cool to do certain things, but it just goes way past that, because life as a benefit, as a plus, right? Like, we talk about our energy being plus. Bitcoin has not only completely freed up time, but has given me so much value in my life that it just makes the dollar look worthless. It really does. Like, that thing that everybody chases still to this day, which is the most malicious things that happen in this world are fiat oriented. To think that all these things that all these people chase,
the gold pillaging,
just to think that, that feeling of like, this is slaverism without bondage, right? This is this trap. This is this thing that, because we all have been been told to chase it, because we have to chase it, that we all have dedicated our lives at all costs, at family costs, at our own personal expense, at so many different places, at virtues, at being honest, at doing all these things. We cross ourselves in so many different things because at a very early age, even before us, in this country, it was in custom and ingrained in people to say, yo, you need to get that by all means. because that's how you survive, and that's how you live, and that's how you live wealthy. The American dream, the fence, the dog, the wife, the nuclear family, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff was basically fiat-oriented. You needed the mortgage to get the house. You needed the money to keep the wife. You needed the money to take care of the kids. And damn it, you can't get a dog if you ain't got a place to keep the shit, a yard or something like that. This whole, the two-car garage, this whole thing was built off keep getting money.
Yeah.
Some people are extremely smart at getting money, and they've done it, and they're billionaires, and they're millionaires, and fantastic. But for the most part, everybody has to suffer because a few motherfuckers want to just basically lie to people just to get to the millionaire status. It's a stab world where it's like, I got to cut you in order to get ahead of you. And I'm hopeful that the Bitcoin standard fixes all that.
Yeah.
We just grow together. It's just one of those things. And you can have a farm with just some pigs in a little shed that you sleep in, or you can have a mansion. But the compromise is still there. You didn't stab nobody in the back to get this mansion. You did it with your own energy, your own work, because everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve, and everybody expends the amount of energy, money, in certain situations to get as much Bitcoin as they can. So they all get what they deserve. If you saved enough Bitcoin to get a mansion, you deserve that mansion. But damn it, don't tell me it's because of money. Don't tell me it's because price action, blah, 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 blah. Signal off. I don't want to hear that stuff. You know what I'm saying? For the most person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
yeah.
Bitcoin, man, life-changing.
Yeah, well, one thing, so when Michael Saylor talks about Bitcoin, like he had a property rights video, which goes hand in hand with what we're talking about, gold pillaging, petrodollar, fueling wars. But he's just like, this is the first time where we have something for 8 billion people where we're giving them property rights. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you own land or when you own a house, if you don't pay your taxes, your house is seized. Right. If you're suspected of drug activity or this, that, or you owe the IRS X amount, your house is seized. Right. In all these cases, it's like your biggest asset is taken from you directly, and there's nothing you can do about it. With Bitcoin, it's the first time where you can take something, put it in cold storage, and only you have possession of it, and it cannot be confiscated.
Yeah.
And no one's going to stop you from giving that to your kids, to your wife, whatever the case is, or just holding on to it for yourself till death. Like whatever you want to do, it's yours, but the government isn't taking it from you.
And they shouldn't.
And when I think about now, right, there was a headline that said there's a current death tax and the Biden administration wants to administer another death tax. So this dude, a Bitcoiner, posted, he was like, yo, listen, this is crazy. He's like, we're going to sell my parents' house, but we're going to have to use the proceeds to put them in an old person home. And there's like an extra tax on top of that. So not only they're going to lose there when they die, there'll be nothing left to their estate. Right. Because there's a double death tax eventually. Like it's crazy.
But before Bitcoin, there was no alternative for them. You see what I'm saying? So that's the problem. That's why, once again, they were showed before us that it was the way to go. You have to get this dollar. This dollar is what makes your life or breaks your life.
They made everything tied to it.
Yeah, by design. And then they could fuck with it, and they could, take it from you. And even if they don't take it from you literally, they'll take it from you by debasing it.
Debasing.
Yeah, taxing it, debasing it.
Dude, I just got an oil change. Oil change prices are up every time I go to get an oil change.
Why?
At Valvoline. And I'm talking to the guy, and I'm like, hey, man, is it me? Or like, I wasn't expecting to drop
premium package.
I wasn't expecting to drop $125 today at Valvoline.
That's nuts.
You know what I mean? Before it was like 90.
Yeah.
100. How did we get to 125, my man?
They keep tying it, right?
And I asked him, and he's like, "Yo, I've been here since February, and like every month they're raising the prices." And so like inflation is this hidden tax where your salary stays the same, but you get less. You get less chicken nugget, but the chicken nugget costs more, bro. Right. And I always talk about this because it's tangible, and obviously it's like
it's big,
like
it's noticeable.
How many times does that have to happen before like everyone just looks around and says, "Why is chicken more expensive? Why is steak more expensive? Why is gas more expensive? Why, we were talking off air, $1,750 for a 3-bedroom, or I think it's like a 2-bedroom on a 3rd floor. $1,750.
Yeah. But that goes back to the trap, because if they keep getting these numbers to go up, and like you said, your money doesn't go up, guess what you have to do? Go work more overtime, good sir.
You lose more energy.
Yeah, you lose more time. Yeah, you lose it all in one shot. They take away your time because instead of spending extra time with whatever, your loved ones, your kids or whatever, guess who's spending more energy, right? So it's shitty, man. That's why I'm about done with it. I obviously live very comfortable. It's very narcissistic to even say like, well, fuck the dollar. I pay my bills, man. Mm-hmm. Like that's all that the dollars carry weight for me. Mm-hmm. I make sure my kids get what they want, and I make sure my wife gets what we want, and we just keep rolling about business. But me personally, no excitement in making dough like that, man. Yeah. Like if it comes, fantastic.
The only thing. So even on my end, I close a deal or whatever happens. Yeah. I get excited because I'm like, okay, what can I do with that? Can I buy another rig?
You need it for sure.
Or, you know, what coin can I buy? You know,
but my early mindset on that is I guess my early separation of what's about to come, right? Because if I'm not dependent on this thing that I know is going to collapse, it's a much easier transition to bounce to the next thing.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, you know, I agree with you. You have to pay your bills. You have to do these things. You have to make money. We do things for money. We do work. You know, podcasts. We do things for money, of course. But yeah, if you can change it to something that's going to go in the right direction, you need to do that as fast as possible because you get dependent. And then in the Bitcoin standard world, sure, you can still transact in value. I'm not going to say that what we do for a living is worthless in the Bitcoin world.
Yeah.
But what happens when you're not closing as often? Because more people value what they're trading. So you have to work harder to make these trades happen. You're going to be so dependent on the easy fiat that it's going to be a tougher transition. Not an impossible one, but a tougher one. So to me, it's just an early separation of like, I'm not even going to get attached to this thing, man, because I fucking with it. Why would I get attached to this? That's cuck mentality. This isn't even my girl. My girl's getting fucked by somebody. It's cuck mentality. That's what it is. They own all that. And you, by holding it in your account or in your 401ks or all that, you think you own this. You think you own your house and you don't own any of that. But you own Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If you do it the right way. And that's my separation from the fiat. That's my mindset. Like I make money, I pay my bills, I work a job, of course. You know, it's all fantastic. I live well, you know, maybe more than some, right? But like I sometimes I see the look in people's eyes when they want it. Want it, and I feel bad for that. I do. Yeah. Because it's such a root of evil thing. It's such a like, I don't know, weird comparison, but I heard somebody talk about caffeine and coffee, and he took a 3-month break this morning on YouTube, and I was watching that, and it's like that. It's like he was walking in the airport early in the morning, you know, when they start opening the stores up and stuff in the airport, and he was like, boy, did I see the line of fucking zombies sitting outside trying to get their coffee. Yeah. It was an addiction that they didn't even notice. Yeah. That's sort of how it is when you going through your timeline on whatever social platform, and you see all these entrepreneurs, real and fake entrepreneurs, literally just like standing on the line, addicted to something that has no meaning whatsoever in life. Yeah. When you die, you're not going to give a fuck about what you posted, what you did, none of that. And I feel bad because I think it's an addiction in itself, and it's a root of evil one, and you're just playing a dirty game, most people. But we do need it to live, unfortunately. We got to make enough of it to be comfortable and take trips. But whenever you can, you trade that dirty cash into some Bitcoin, and your life will gradually improve. Yeah. Depending how much you put into it, the faster, but you're going to improve. Nobody's late. We tell you guys that mostly every week. You're not late. You're extremely early. There's a long way to go. Fascinating shit happening. Yeah, on the comparison, and they say Bitcoin is where the early internet was. Probably pre-AOL. Right? TCP/IP, yep. So imagine, being back then and people are saying, hey, you're going to be able to measure the square footage around your house. So you know how much lawn fertilizer to put down. You'll be able to measure square footage from, GPS here to here. And we'd be like, what? What are you talking about? And how fast? I want to go on MapQuest and print out my directions. How fast did that happen too? I mean, very quickly. About the 20-year span, maybe. I mean, we went from the first. I mean, I think the article I saw showed 1997. Yep. And I mean, when were we on AOL? I don't remember, but it was probably about 20 years ago, man. Way before that, probably. Yeah, actually, late 1990s, 1999. It had to be way before that because I saw that Independence Day turned 25, and the internet was out way before Independence Day. So yeah, probably 30 plus years ago, maybe? Yeah. No. Damn, I don't even know. But it was a while ago. Mm-hmm. But how fast it changed, right? Once Apple came, and I have to say it was Apple, but once the App Store became a thing, once it was like, oh no, you got this thing in your pocket, and you could just download everything. Shit. That's when it just, the slope was like, it just went downhill really fast, and we got some crazy innovation. Our phones do everything for us right now. Yeah, it's nuts. Super incredible. I'm going to check on that blog real quick. We're about 48 minutes in. 6.5. 6 hours and 21 minutes. Yeah. Holy bananas. You were talking about watching, is it the mempool flash? What? The pulsing? That's the mempool and the predicted next block. So it kind of shows you what the transactions are. And it blinks though, right? It just updates. Okay. So I guess that's how they show you it blinks. But I don't think it's meant to blink. I just think it updates to different numbers. Gotcha. So if you're looking at stock market, that's how even on Binance, you'll see you'll see the tickers. It's pretty cool. It is, yeah. This is just a different monster. Seeing the inputs go in, the size of the blocks. Whenever, for example, right now, the size of the block right now is, well, let me put it this way. They only do 1 megabyte block. So right now there's 3.4 3.48 megabytes in the pool, and that's 4 blocks to clear. As soon as it goes past 3.48, if no blocks have cleared, a new block is formed. So it's literally, you could just watch it. It's just 1 megabyte per block. And whatever goes past the 1 megabyte just gets put into the next block. And that's how sometimes we get backed up. And that's when the mempool gets really high and there's like 30 blocks. Right now, there's only 4 blocks. There's only 3.48 megabytes. So that means there's 3 whole blocks and they're working on the 4th block now, if I'm not mistaken on that math. But it's incredible, man. There's about 5,000 transactions in the mempool. Next block has about 2,199. It's still about 3.5 Bitcoin.
So if we got in on that first block, if I sent you some sats, would we see a confirmation by now? We'd see 1 by now or no?
Nothing.
0?
You're not on the block.
Just still say pending.
Yeah, you're not on the block. And that's when, maybe there's difficulty if this keeps happening. I've seen one earlier before that was about an hour and 30 minutes. So today seems to be kind of sluggish. But I guess in theory, what that would mean is the difficulty adjustment would drop.
Gotcha.
And it's expected to drop by 10. That's why, because it's taking way too long to find these blocks.
Yeah.
Doesn't really throw off Bitcoin in a sense, but that's why it's really cool to use block height as time.
Yeah.
Because block height is set around the world. There's no time zones, no weird. It's 5 o'clock for you, 9 o'clock for me. It's not. Our confirmation settled on this block height. Whatever time of the world that was for you, whatever.
That's what it translates to.
That's what it is, and it's very important to use block height as a time tool. I've seen a few people do it. I tried to do it with my Unchained post, but constantly looking at the block height and being like, yo, like I've seen people put like my kid was born on block height. Yeah, super like cool stuff. But yeah, it doesn't matter what in the other side of the world, it could be middle of night right now. But your son was born and it was morning for you, right? But it doesn't matter. They experienced at that one moment in time. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, man. I like that idea. I saw you post about it on Twitter a little while back. Like, at this block height, XYZ happened. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah, that was the Unchained post or whatever. But yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing to watch. I don't think this block is going to get found by the time we go. Are we good? We got 52 minutes. Good?
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we appreciate you guys as always. Please rate, share, and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend, share it. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, might be a good idea if you leave a review down below. That helps us float up in the algorithm. More people could get this information, this value that you're receiving. If you're on Lightning, please feel free to pick your favorite app, stream us some sats. We appreciate that. That's the way we beat the taxes. It's super important. Ben, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Bro.
Episode
Always
27.
Good. 27, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Later, guys.
Peace.